Some people chase that one big cash out, but let's be real, that's rare. For me, it's about knowing what I want my life to look like 20 years down the road, and then figuring out the right business model to get me there. In this video, I'm going to break down how to make that decision and share what I've learned from 30 plus years in business. The outcome of their business depends on the outcome that they want for their life today and their life tomorrow, because there's different kinds of people have different desires about the business. So there's a lot of people, most would say, I would love to have one big cash out payday and then not have to worry, and then I can do whatever I want. The problem is that's not always realistic. Most businesses don't have that one big cash out type of situation. So if you take as an assumption that that is a rarity, the stuff that you hear about in the media about somebody who cashed out and got $100 million, if you assume that that is very, very rare, then you have to say, okay, well, what kind of business am I looking for? Am I looking for a reasonable payout in a certain amount of time and I'm building to sell? Or am I building for cash flow? The way that I think about that is, what do I want my life to look like as a whole, not just outside of business, not just in business, as a whole in 10 years, in 20 years. I've been in business for 30 plus years, but what do I want it to look like in 20 years from now? So when I'm what most people watching this would consider really, really old, what do I want to be doing? Well, I still want to be involved in business. Now, that might look like something different from today, but I have to back into that. So for me, it's like, what does the ideal day look like? If I have to live the same day again and again, and it's a work day, every single day, what would that day look like? And what are the activities that I'm doing? Because that's the kind of stuff that would give me joy, support the family time that I want, and also be interesting on work. So now, how do I make that true? And for some people, one friend of mine, for him, it's a cash flow business. He's like, you know what? I'm going to run this thing for the next 20 years, and I'm going to run it as cash flow business because I have ultimate control over it. It's a services business, but like, he works 20 hours a week and he really enjoys what he does. Is there ever going to be a big payout? No, but he's done the math of what the financial outcome is of that kind of business and the lifestyle outcome of that business. And he's like, look, I'm totally fine working 5 days a week, but it's 20 hours a week. I can work from anywhere. My kids know who I am, and I'll have a really good financial outcome. By the time I stop working, I'll have tens of millions in the bank, because that's this kind of slow grind business. Other people, and I'm in this category myself, to me, doing the same thing for 20 years is one of the most awful ideas that I could ever have. So I'm typically, what excites me is building something, figuring out how can I build something and very quickly make me not the person doing the thing. I love the part that's the 0 to 1 of building something, validating it, making sure it's working well. And then after that, stepping more into a chairman type of role to help guide companies. And that's also why I work with companies that other people started, and then I'm helping them in that 5 million to 25 million zone. That's my outcome. I optimize for different things. I optimize for figuring out if this thing is going to have legs really, really soon. So a lot of services businesses, because they're really super high margin, you kind of don't need to figure it out. You kind of like, okay, I'm doing enough services. I'm, making $100,000, $200,000 a year. Until I zigzag my way into figuring out how to scale this thing, it's fine because I'm making enough money. But that's rarely going to be something that is going to be a major, huge outcome. So I'm looking for optimizing for a short amount of time of me doing the actual work and figuring it out. And then after that, once I've handed it off with an operating team, then it doesn't take me a lot of time or effort, because essentially I've set the rules, I've got the dashboards, I've set the rules about how this thing works. And when an exception happens, something is going, something's not going right, they're calling me. And I really love that advisory kind of work. How do we get from here to there? Like, how do I fix this individual problem versus the doing the work every day? So I think what kind of business you build and how you choose that kind of business really depends on who you are and what's going to keep you happy for the long run, versus saying, okay, well, I'm going to do this kind of business because I think there's going to be a big outcome in 5 years. And the odds are there isn't. So you're going to put yourself through 5 years of misery, and hopefully your kids don't hate you at the end of it, because I've seen that too often. Hopefully you still have a marriage. That seems like a really bad trade to me, versus saying, this is what's important to me and what kind of vehicle gets me there with some decent amount of certainty. Now that you've got a better idea of how to align your business with your life goals, in this video right here, I share the unusual sales strategy that netted over $440 million. It's going to change the way you think about scaling your business.